All right, hey guys, hope everyone is doing well today. The topics that are discussed in this upcoming podcast are incredible. It is very new for me, and I'm just asking everyone to have an open mind when it comes to this. Many of you probably haven't even considered it or might even have a negative mindset when it does come to faith, but for me, it's been monumental in changing my life, and just the happiness that I've received from pursuing something that was completely foreign to me has been absolutely monumental. So the podcast we did with Nicole was incredible, and I hope you guys can listen through it. And if you have an open mindset when it comes to it, just embrace that and enjoy and hopefully grow from it. So I'll leave you guys to that, and have a great day, guys, and enjoy the podcast. Peace. What is up? Welcome back to, I think, the 20th episode, 21st episode of the PRIMLLIFE podcast. I have no clue at this point, but this is one of the podcasts that you guys are going to watch like through the whole thing. So known Nicole for probably a few weeks only.
Yeah.
But in the time of knowing her, like I've seen like how truly much of a good person she is, in every single aspect of her life, and faith-wise, has helped me see a lot about myself. And just like the short conversation that we had these last few minutes have been great. Mm-hmm. So many really cool concepts that you want to apply to your lives if you truly want them to be the best and do the most good you can. So this is going to be fun. I'm looking forward to this. The people here are looking forward to this.
Oh, yeah.
How are you doing today?
Awesome. Honestly, so great.
That's great to hear. It makes me so happy. The first thing I noticed about you is just how much joy. Like even just seeing you come into the gym, like from behind the front desk, like that person's happy. That person is motivated by so many things deeper than like money, wealth, and power. Just like that's such a cool person, just without even talking to you. And then like seeing your life and the things that you do for your occupation, your faith, it's just like, wow, such a cool person. So thank you for having me on today.
Yeah, of course.
And we're gonna talk about a lot of things. I'm gonna learn a lot, and hopefully, we will. I know we'll give the best stuff we can.
Oh yeah.
And hopefully change some lives. Yeah. So one of the things that kind of caught my eye for you was your occupation. What does being an autism therapist mean?
All right, so technically the more specific name of my profession is a behavioral health technician. So I am working with kids that have developmental issues, neurological issues. So what I'll do is I'll work with them, trying to help them do day-to-day things like putting on a jacket, what is your favorite color, what's your hair color, like what's your name? Just working with them, trying to help them communicate, understand. Just trying to understand how to communicate, and it's like a teacher thing.
Yeah.
So it just goes. It all depends on the client. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
It all depends where they're at on the spectrum and whatnot. So.
And you talked earlier about how every single case is different. How do you handle that? For me it seemed very daunting to be like, okay, we're gonna do our best to help this person, but their needs could be completely different from my other experiences. How do you assess their needs so you can best help them and grow them?
Well, honestly, I'm more of an experimental learner. So when you're first working with a kid, you're building that relationship with them, just trying to get to know them, what they like to play, what they like to do, and then eventually you'll learn like their behaviors and things. So at first it'll be all nice and stuff, but then once you get to build that relationship, everything, it goes up and down. But honestly, just through like experiences of me babysitting for 6 years before, and then like just working with these kids, I mean, I have always loved kids. So
that's awesome.
You just kind of adjust to the situation.
Yeah. And
since it is one-on-one with the kid, that's where you're able to build a good relationship and focus on that at the beginning. How I personally adjust is, like I said, experimental. It's trial and error every single time. Because like all the behaviors can vary from like scratching, hitting, biting, crying. Like I've gone through it all, but like I know that they're unable to communicate, so that is their way of like, I'm mad, I'm frustrated, I don't know how to like calm myself down. So that's when we're like, okay, it's all right. Like you don't want to respond to the behavior, even though like it hurts obviously.
Yeah.
But you just kind of have to adjust and like, all right, I'm here to help you. Like you and I are on the same team. Like we're just trying to better ourselves. Like even though it's hard, it's also rewarding because you know that you're changing their lives, and like you just build that connection. eventually some of them will leave, and that actually has happened recently, and I was just like, wow. Like, we worked together for a long time, and then
they were able to grow so
yes.
much. It's one of those areas where I feel like a lot of people can't see it for what it is. You know, and you said like the biting, scratching. You know, a lot of humans would see that as maybe not weird, but they would kind of be like turned off by that immediately. But like then I try to put myself in the situation where it's like if I was unable to tell people how I felt, like how I would feel and how I would communicate, I don't know where I would be. Like it just seems like such like looking at it from the small sliver that I can like see from people, it's like wow, I want to help you. You know, it's so cool, and I feel like I don't think I'd be able to do what you do. I'm gonna be honest. You know, I've never been good with children. Probably a little bit. You know, I'm probably like a little bit less less able to like emotionally connect to children. Yes. You know, I don't know, but it's such a cool thing, like being able to communicate with kids, because kids can have like such a pure mind, and like when you're able to get past some behaviors that might be offsetting for some people, you truly see like the love and beauty within. So 6 or 7 years of babysitting, was it?
Yes, 6.
What made you want to work with children, especially?
I've always had a passion with kids. I always enjoyed babysitting, just connecting with them, because I know at a young age, you, growing up, there's a lot of reflecting on your childhood.
Yeah.
And like, I know my absolutely my family. I've had some things happen and stuff, so I just want to be a big sister to those kids. So like babysitting wise, and even working in the clinic with my kids. But just like I said, just being like a big sister. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just,
mentor kind of type
yes.
thing? Yeah.
For my brothers, I was a mom at a very young age. So just it's kind of just like a mom role, just that got into me, and then
but it's expanded upon like your immediate family to helping people who you've never met before and helping them grow. Such a beautiful thing, like just talking about that. So cool. And obviously your faith probably has a ton of what to play in it, because I mean obviously we've talked and I can tell that you're probably one of the smart people I've met. You could have picked up a business job, making 6 figures. Okay? From my experience of talking with you, like you are very smart, capable of a lot, but you didn't gravitate towards that route. Yeah. You went to an area that probably people might look down on for whatever reasons, uneducated that they might have over it. But the change that you were affecting in people's lives goes so much beyond just making money. Like looking at it, it's so many levels deeper. And I'm guessing you would say that you are more fulfilled in that sense than you could be anywhere else.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. I always reflect on it, and I'm like, I could be making a lot more money, but I am way happier changing lives. It has changed my life in the past 6 months of working with them. Like, it's just, I wouldn't change anything right now.
That's awesome to hear. And I think a lot of people who might like to lie and say they are happy in their jobs say, oh yeah, I'll do this forever, I love my job. But in reality, they're so empty and broken because they aren't able to grow and love for other people. They aren't able to love themselves off of that. Exactly, and and they're just living these lives that are unfruitful and leading them towards a path of burnout and destruction.
Yes.
So yeah, I think you figured it out so much earlier than so many other people, and even myself. What you truly need to be happy, but also just to like cause good things to happen in the world. And obviously you're happier for it, too. When it came to becoming a Christian, everyone has their own stories, and I'd love to hear yours. How did you accept Jesus into your heart?
So I've always grown up in a Christian household. So ever since I was young, we always gone to church every Sunday. So when it came to obviously graduating high school and I went to college, I personally like to go to church, so I would just pursue it. I just felt better.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done Sinful Natures and everything, but every Sunday I would make sure that I'd go, so I felt fulfilled. I mean, shouldn't be that way, but
it kept you coming back for more.
Yes. And then recently I had moved home, and I was just having some struggles there. Wasn't happy. So I moved home and just decided to take a semester off college because I was unsure about the whole thing. So that's where I got into my job out of the blue. I absolutely had passion for working with kids, and then I've also worked with special needs kids. I had neighbors and things, so that's why I don't know, I just always have had a special place in my heart.
You were put in a place in your life where you're surrounded by people constantly that you could help, and help at a very high level.
Yes.
And you obviously did that too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So surrounded by your calling at a young age, obviously growing in that sense.
Yes. And I mean, it wasn't necessarily pressured, but sometimes it was, because like, all right, you gotta get up for church in the morning, you can't hang out really late on like Saturday. Like, obviously I was bummed I was a young kid, but now I have realized I need that. Like, it just makes me feel more fulfilled. And now that I have grown past where I'm like, oh, I need to have friends all the time, and I want everyone to like me, now I am like, I don't really need that. That's not the necessary thing that I need in life. And
your happiness goes so far beyond the immediate world.
Yes.
Now.
Oh, yes.
And you will be so much happier because of that. That's awesome. And I see it in myself. I see it in people around me, people who maybe haven't accepted that yet. And for someone who is just barely like stepping their toe into faith and like becoming a better person in that sense, for me and the people watching, for someone who just doesn't know where to start, where would you recommend they put themselves in like a frame of mindset and like in life to grow? If they have that desire, but they just have no clue where to start, and that fire just hasn't really been ignited yet.
Okay.
That's a good question.
You could go so many ways.
Oh, I know.
This.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, because it all depends on how you feel about it. I mean, praying, like just even talking to yourself about what you need is. You little turkey. Oakley.
Oh, she's adorable. Where were we at?
Okay, so someone who is interested in like
in starting a fire that they just don't know where to begin.
Okay, so it definitely varies how you want to do it. One thing is definitely praying. Praying isn't a bad thing. It's literally talking with you and God. It doesn't even have to seem like it's necessarily super spiritual. You can literally just talk about your problems. Like, I have fallen short of not wanting to better myself, or like I am done with the sinful nature. Just like talking about your problems, even just like you in your room. It doesn't even have to be like, I mean,
it's hard to put into words.
Yes.
Because it goes so deep, and just like I feel like what we're able to speak about it verbally is like the tip of the iceberg when it comes to like what it can do for you, and like the feelings that you get from being able to expand on nature. For me it was almost like free therapy. And even before I grew in my faith, I started noticing things about myself. It's like that I had never really seen before, or been like trying to like suppress and just ignore. It helped me realize the flaws that I have and where I need to start and grow from that. And it's very humbling. Like it's one of those things where you look at it and it's just like, wow, I am not as good as I thought, nearly as good as I thought I was. I have so much work I need to do. And it really helps knock you down a level, but it's needed. And so many people, including myself, just didn't realize like you need to be humbled down. Like pride for me was like the biggest thing. Like, and that pride prevented me from growing spiritually, growing with the people around me, and being happy at the end of the day. And that's society is suffering from so much pain that I feel like prayer can help start to resolve. And then if you grow in a relationship with God past that, it'll open up a whole new world of good for everyone. Yeah.
Or even like another way is just like if you see someone or know of someone that goes to church, oh my goodness, if you let someone know, hey, I'd be interested in like going to youth group or going to church with you, somebody would absolutely love taking
Yeah.
like a new person to church.
And
like,
I'm guessing every single person who you've expressed that want to has been more opening than you could imagine about helping you.
Yeah, I feel like everyone has like a little part of them that wants to try it, and it's not scary. Like I know some people will think they'll be judged and stuff. I mean, at my church, like we love everyone. Like it's just a whole hip hip hooray type thing. Like if we see someone new, like it's just awesome. But it's not like we're gonna like pinpoint you or anything. It's literally we've all fallen short. Like it's the fact that you are reaching out to pursue it, you know, it's already a big strength in you because you know that you can do better, which is awesome.
Yeah.
It's just another step in life where you know, where you just become stronger in yourself.
Yeah. You put that beautifully. It's very much you know, the whole idea of that very first step into something so much bigger than yourself. Did you have a moment in your life where you kind of took your first step into like something deeper than just like the very physical and very like immediate nature of church? Yeah.
I guess more recently, I'd have to say when I started going to church by myself. I mean, I've enjoyed going with my family, but it's just like a whole different aspect going by yourself.
Yeah.
And really, you get to make connections afterwards with other people related to you or in the same age group. And like even at church they'll have groups that they want you to build relationships with other people that are in your age group. So that's where I'm really excited to like start joining those, because everyone has their past experiences, and that's where you can really relate to people, and that's when you feel at home, is when you can relate. It's not like everyone's perfect. And
so community is
yes,
awesome.
Community.
And one of the topics that I've talked about probably countless times in the other podcasts that weren't faith-based is the idea of you becoming who you're surrounded by.
Yes.
In every sense. It's not just you can become worse or you can become better. It's a very much the people you surround yourself with are the people you become to like a very high level.
Yeah, it definitely changes yourself. It
changes yourself, and I'm guessing would you say that the people you surround yourself in the past have either led to the most growth or like the reverse of that? And like
honestly, both. Like even though that it has brought me either down, I have either gone up because I've realized that I have gone down.
Yeah.
It just goes both ways. So I don't know.
It's one of those. It's hard to put into words.
It's just crazy. I mean, it's just the whole part of growing and knowing what you want to strive for in life is you have a realization like, okay, maybe these people aren't right for me. I know that I can do better, and that's where you can grow, and that's good for yourself for realizing that, because that is strong.
Yeah.
That is.
It's one of those things where you might not think you have the strength to do it, but then you see either how much worse it's made your life or how much better, and it's just like, I need to do this. Like, I need to take that step. And then once you are able to make that step and stop lying to yourself, oh, these people are good for me, when in reality they aren't, it is untold how much better your life can be because of that, and deeper too, because then you surround yourself with people who lead to so much more development and are just overall better people, but people that you can grow with and see grow. It's such a beautiful idea, the community. Did you have anyone in your life who really helped affect that change and help you grow?
Definitely, I feel like my mom and grandma, they've always been like the most influential spiritual people in my life. I mean, either if it's been like where they have just like seen from outside that I've been fine, and we'll just lightly reach out and be like, hey, I just want to check up on you, type thing, not like forcing it more so. But I've had some friends too that were pretty inspirational, but it's kind of just been like on my own type thing, because I've always grown up in a Christian household, so I've always had that behind my back, and I've gone to like Christian camps, and I felt the high energy of going to Christian camps, and just like your blood pumping and everything is always really hyped. And then when you come home after that, you're like, oh gosh, like I'm not being told what to do. I have to do that on my own, and that's where a lot of people end up falling. Is like I can't do that anymore. And that's where you have to surround yourself with groups and like in the community.
Yes.
Because if you don't surround yourself with the people or with the things that you want to pursue, then it's a lot harder. Like we're not supposed to be on this earth alone. Like we need each other to keep pushing and fighting through.
You can't be a lone ranger if you're trying to grow with faith. The community, it's so good for us.
You can, but it's definitely super hard. Loneliness is not something that you need to.
It's not productive for growing that like flame in your heart. Because I mean, I don't know. I heard one thing. It was like loneliness or solitude. Is either solitude or loneliness is like where the devil thrives. Because for me, the periods where I have been least surrounded by the good people in my life and most surrounded by like the oppressive, the oppressive forces were also the times that I repressed the most my faith. Because it's very hard. You might be able to like initially keep like the bad thoughts away, but like once they take root, and they will slowly over time, and you don't have good people around you to help you grow past that, it's very scary how quickly downwards you can go. And I'm guessing, and I think we talked about this earlier, but you had to push a lot of people away, at least a few really important people in your life. What was that like?
Definitely hard because the loneliness stage is awful. I hate it.
Yeah.
And I hate that so much. I absolutely love being around people and things, but I knew in order to better myself, I had to eliminate some things. And it wasn't like a harsh thing. It just kind of like either dropped off, and I just had to ignore some people because of the things that they did to me, or just it wasn't, or else I'd even talk to them about like what I just needed some time to myself or whatever, like just to pursue what I needed. And usually people are very understanding. I'm like, all right, like I get that. Like, go you type thing. Like even though it'll suck at the beginning, you'll definitely find yourself a lot happier. And obviously there's gonna be those struggles like do I reach out to this person? I really miss hanging out with them. But like that some sinful things will end up being involved, and it's like, all right, no, I know I can do better. Finding new hobbies and friends like within those hobbies are amazing. I mean, that's what happened with me at the gym. Like
it's
just
really
meeting
cool.
a bunch of people that are striving for the same passions and things in life really help. Like
people who can push you. It's an idea that spiritual. It has so much value both in a spiritual sense and also just like a growth sense too. Like it's not confined to you can surround yourself with people only help you grow in your faith. It's like this super wide spectrum of just overall being better. That is beautiful to see in your own life and in other people's lives too. And like you said, it hurts initially, but like the growth you can experience from that is insane.
And you'll just continually feel proud of yourself for even like pushing through, because it's hard. It's definitely hard, especially if you've been friends with somebody for so long and you realize something. It hurts your heart for a while, but it also fulfills your heart because you're like, wow, I just did this to better myself. Like that feels really good. But it just takes time and patience.
And so much effort too.
Yeah.
Like it's not something you can just like half work towards or be like, oh yeah, they can still be in my life. Like and they might still be able to be in your life. You might have to change like your relation to that person, but it takes so much effort. Once you have those connections with things that might not be positive, like it's really hard to break those things. Whether it be drugs, alcohol, such as alcohol, or even just bad habits. It becomes a part of you, and you really have to like work hard to reverse that. And I think a step past that is preventative, like preventing those things from entering your life. What do you do to live the best life you can in a faith sense? Like to stay away from all those things in the world, because we are surrounded by things that are meant to break us down, that our culture tells us are good for us. So from a person who struggled with that a lot.
I have too, many times.
Everyone has. Everyone has.
Basically, once I finally have put an end to immaturity, I just look at the big picture of what I really want in my future. So if I am doing, it's all depending on decisions and choices that you make. So if you have a focus on your future, it all depends on your decision. So if you are like asked to like go drinking or smoking or whatever, you have to remind yourself of that future goal that you have, and be like, no, I think that's really not best for me. Like, even though I'd love to hang out with people and like have a good time, that's really not best for myself. Even if, I mean, even hanging out with them is not bad, but like doing the other, like involving alcohol and stuff, I mean,
maybe lying to yourself that you won't be in a place where you're tempted with it.
Yes.
Yeah, there's countless friends of mine who, you know, probably I would put myself in a situation where it'd be like, oh yeah, I'll be fine, like they won't lead me to this like they have in the past. And it's like, I've been lying to myself this whole time. Like, I knew from the beginning, I accepted to like go hang out with this person, that it would not lead to good things at all. And like being honest with being just purely honest with yourself, I think is one of the best things that you just talked about, and one of the best things that I feel is applicable to everyone's lives. Like knowing like this person isn't good for me. Like I need to put myself in a situation where I can't be pushed back into that old addiction. Yeah. Wow. It's pretty intense stuff. For the people who are really struggling to find that light, who might be like going off the deep end, they feel like they're drowning and they don't know if they're swimming up or down, where would you recommend they start? That in a way that doesn't seem, I feel like a lot of people put like faith as like, oh yeah, it'll immediately help your life, but honestly, like it's one of those things where like you almost feel like you're going downward still, like you're drowning and you've just been like pushed a little bit deeper, like, and you're in that stage. What would you tell people who know they need to grow in that sense, but are so overwhelmed by their own failures, and so they don't know where to start?
Yeah.
That's a big question. That's a massive question.
Well, I guess, it's always hard because we're always surrounded by like secular music and like different types of activities and things. It's just so hard because it's not easy. Like,
oh yeah,
it's just not easy. We've all fallen so short, and I've even gone like toward the deep end. And just because like I've grown up in a Christian household doesn't mean that it's been an easy route at all. Not even close.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. It's just hard to, I don't know. It's just I have eventually just pushed myself and have gone to church, and eventually somebody has gone up to me and just like, I just want you to know that you're loved. And I'm like,
it has always worked out.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Like, it just hits you and you're like, wow.
Yeah.
Like, but just like either reaching out to somebody or listening to podcasts about things that you're even needing some help on.
Yeah.
Or changing the way you listen to music, or, I don't know. It's just
being open.
Just open. Like,
yeah.
I know that it's hard to not listen to secular music, because even like I will still, but like I know that eventually just like hearing words and lyrics that are positive to your life definitely help. Because those are constantly playing in your head, especially just driving down the road. You're like, the words can be totally terrible, and you're like, yeah.
And suddenly, like, I think with being open to putting yourself in a place where you are able to receive the love from other people, it's crazy how things start to click. Yeah. Like for me, this past few week, I read this book. Like I didn't really have too many expectations going into. It's by, have you heard of Mere Christianity?
I don't know. So
it's by C.S. Lewis, the person who wrote Narnia, and I was reading this book. And I went into it like, okay, I'm going to read this, it might help me, it might not, but I was open to it. And then suddenly, like, I just found myself, the pages of the book were being stained with my tears because how much was just clicking. And it was like, wow, just being open to this has expanded so much. And putting yourself in a situation at church, where you're just willing. Yeah. It's crazy how that power can, like, start to, like, affect your life. And I wanted... So for the longest time, I had my views on other people's faith, and I had a very intense feeling towards it. I saw it as weakness, which is really weird. Like people think, and I think from my perspective now, it's definitely one of the almost hardest things you can do in this world is to have faith, because we're surrounded by people telling us like, hey, It'll lead you to wrecking. It'll lead you to breaking. You'll die lonely. You'll die with no friends. But it's one of those things where it's just like, it's the strongest thing you can do in a sense. How did you have, before you expanded your faith, did you have a view? Like, what was your view towards it? And it's a hard question to put into words, because you are surrounded. You had a very positive upbringing, but like people who, how did you look at people who were like 10 steps further than you in their faith?
Honestly, I thought they were crazy.
Yeah, it's weird.
I'm like, holy cow, like this is way too much. Because even though I grew up in a Christian household, I was just like, okay, yeah, I believe in God, but I didn't pursue it on my own, or like necessarily understood it to the like fullest. Like I'm more of a like visual learner, so like if I watched a movie about it, like I totally like understand it more, or even if I was in that time era. So it's always really hard. It always was hard for me to understand it. So now that I'm like, it's still hard, but it's just like realizing what you need to, man, I don't even know how to put this into words.
Yeah,
it's like,
it's one of those things where like you know exactly what you're trying to say, you know it, you feel it, but to like put into words where someone can understand it that like might not have been there.
It's so hard because I've been in the same place that so many people have been in, and it's never easy. And I'm still working on it. It's like
it's a constant journey. It doesn't just click like permanently. You have to keep on seeking it deeper and deeper and deeper. Yeah. But the thing is, like, how deep it can go is never ending.
Yes, exactly.
Which is a really cool thing.
It's so awesome.
Yeah. You might hit plateaus, but the level of spiritual and emotional depth you can get just constantly grows, and just gets more and more beautiful exponentially without ending. Yeah, it's cool, and I hope that the people watching this are open to that growing in their own hearts. Because listen, from a person, we've both probably suffered a lot in our own ways, but to a person who's also probably suffering from a lot of bad things that could be happening in their lives, like it doesn't have to be that way. It might still hurt, but like the level of growth and how good it can get is insane. It's beautiful.
Awesome.
Yeah, I can't wait for people to listen to this and maybe relate to it in their own sense. I feel like we could talk about hours about the world, like how many problems there are. But to start finishing up, so people can start thinking about it in their own lives. What steps would you take just for someone to be able to grow out of sin that feels good, that they think is good, but they know is wrong, if that makes sense?
Which even though it feels terrible, it is such a light opening feeling, because you know that you can do better, you know that you should be doing something else, which is why we have that uncomfortable feeling, is because we're not supposed to be doing that in the first place. So it's just like overcoming that and be like, okay, I'm sick of this feeling. Like, I'm not being fulfilled by it. It's just bringing me down every time. I feel sick. Like, I don't know. My stomach would always turn. Like, it's like, okay, I know I'm doing wrong. I need to stop. Like, and then just bringing yourself slowly to it. And also talking to other people about it also helps. So then you also have encouragement to keep pushing through. Like, you can do better. But even alone, it's not bad either. But it's just, I don't know, just being strong with yourself. It's just literally you're just working on yourself. It's literally yourself for the rest of your life. So you literally
one of the things that puts in perspective is you might think that your bad choices only affect yourself. By making the choice to not spread that, to not be in a good place morally, the level of harm you're doing upon not just yourself, but like other people is insane. And how much good, the good stuff that you could be doing that isn't there is also insane. So you're in this place where the level of harm that you're doing is as bad as the amount of good you could be doing if you do seek this other route. And it's one of the things that like pointed me towards there actually being a God, was this this unsaid moral structure that everyone has, all cultures have to some level, but hasn't been taught that we all know is right. It's like, you know, if you look into other cultures, there might be some where there's various levels of it, but I mean, if you look at like murder's always wrong. And there might be some like weird, there's some weird cults out there, but if you look at every single culture that expresses like has developed, all these bad things are bad, and they're bad for a reason that is past us. That I think points to there being like a law that we all follow that points to something else. Because like, I mean, if we're truly these biological anomalies in this universe, we wouldn't be called to this higher moral place that we just see everywhere. Like you said, like a person who commits wrong, they know it's wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, there might be the medical conditions where people can't feel the emotions, so they do things. But those are obviously like those like one in 100 circumstances. But like the majority of people, when they do something that's wrong, even if they enjoy it, they know it's wrong.
Yes.
And to some level, it exhibits itself as bad symptoms.
Yeah.
Like even when I was perfectly content with sinning and hurting other people, I still just was always off-put by how off it felt. Even though I had no reason to feel like it was off, because that's where I was. It felt good, you know, but it didn't. And like the harm just kept on growing and growing and growing. And it's just like, okay, I know for a fact that even if I'm enjoying this, and if I might enjoy something that's wrong in the moment, I don't truly enjoy it.
Yeah.
Like
You just become numb.
You become numb. Yeah.
It's like wait, what am I doing?
What are you
like,
doing?
It's a big shock. It's just like, what am I doing?
Yeah. You have to recognize that and like take a step back. And taking that step back is hard, you know, for pride reasons. You know, people like in this culture like to be told that they're the god of their own lives, and while it might seem empowering, it tells everyone that they should be okay with every choice they make, even if it's the wrong choice. And that's just a path for disaster. Yeah. Wow. These are some fun connections.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on.
Of course, I enjoyed it.
Where can they find you on social media?
All right, Nicole.Weber_ on Instagram.
Go follow her. Ton of fun. You have also the fitness page too.
Yep.
You want to follow her journey on that? Go follow her. There's more talks to come with this person because, you know, just the amount of joy I felt in my heart and stuff just clicking. It's a blast. It's fun to see, and I hope that you guys. I know that the people who are open to it were able to see it, but if people watch this and they might not have been able to grasp any of it, try and open yourself up to the idea of it, because the amount of joy that has happened in both of our lives is absolutely insane. So thank you for coming on.
Yes,
You're going to change lives.
Yes.
You're going to keep on doing it, and at such a high level. So thank you for having me.
Thank you.